fishing, it's in my soul.
Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
Hello, Salt Strong Nation. Joe Simons, like diamonds, back again. Salt Strong Unchurched with my main man, Pastor Johnny Kelly.
Hey, what's up, Joe? What's up, Salt Strong? It is so good to be back with you guys today.
Back by popular demand. Every time I do a podcast with you, always goes well. And then, it take a month off or whatever. You've been busy. I've been busy. I know you've had a lot going on with church and rearranging things with COVID. And then all of a sudden I'll get this like 3 or 4 emails or messages in a row. Like, you got to bring Pastor Johnny. We missed Johnny on Unchurched. So I get the hint, guys. You guys are sick and tired of just hearing my voice. So we got Pastor Johnny back. And this is going to be a really unique one because ironically, we've been using this rock terminology in our own business. And yet I think a lot of us, including yours truly, fail to do the same type of thinking in our own lives and in the lives of our family. And I've got the book here, Traction. It's something I mentioned before on a podcast. And the whole concept of traction in a business, which is Johnny's going to talk about applying it to our lives, is using rocks, like things that, all right, if I could just do this well, it makes everything else easier, right? It makes everything else in my life have a whole lot more flow and traction versus most people do the opposite. They're doing all these little small minutiae and they never knock the big thing over. They never break that big rock. And they wonder why they're always just so frustrated and don't have enough energy to get the stuff they want done. And I mean, it affects all parts of your lives. I mean, mentally, physically, emotionally, everything. So this is going to be a really, really important one. And I know you just did a similar sermon on this to your congregation. So I'm thrilled to hear this, man. So kind of give us the big idea. What do these rocks mean and how does this all fit? And how does it fit in a container? How do you even get rocks in a container in the first place?
I mean, the idea of it, the illustration of it is really simple. It's that if I was to ask you, what are the most important things in your life? Like, hey, list out the 5 most important things. And all of us would be able to list those out. We might take a few minutes to sort of figure it out. But I mean, we're going to say, family, wife, kids, husband, wife, whatever, our children, our other family members. For some of us, it'll be different things for everybody. We're going to have things that are important to us. Hopefully, for you, it's God, that it's a relationship with God, and that becomes, biblically speaking, the biggest, most important thing in your life, and that all the other things, the blessings and the good things from life flow out of that. That's sort of the biblical way of looking at it. And so if we list those things out, so whatever that is, so say God is the most important thing, and then your wife or your husband is next, and your kids, and then you step into maybe it's your work. Some people hate their job, but a lot of people love their job, and it's very important to them. It's not just for the finances of it, but like they love their job. They love what I know you do. I do. I love what I do. It's important to me. The church is important to me. Doing the best I can as a pastor is important to me. And so we all have this list of what's important. And the way I equate it is to a house is built on a foundation. There's the old term cornerstone, which was, the biggest stone, the most important stone when they would build a building back in the day, before they, poured concrete footers and stuff like that. They build them on stones, and they would have the cornerstone. They would spend days finding the best, most flat, perfect rock, and they'd carve it out just right. And they would spend forever placing it perfectly level, perfect right there. And that's the cornerstone, because the rest of the structure is built on that. And so if our lives are like that, then really these big stones, these big rocks become the most important things that the rest of our life is built on. And as you build, on that, the truth is in our lives that our lives are full of, like you said, minutia. It's full of just stuff, and it's not bad stuff. It's just stuff, I gotta, go to the grocery store. You gotta put gas in the car. You gotta wash the dishes and do the laundry. Like we have this list of things that we have to do. And really the idea of what I want to talk about today is how important the order is. The order of our life is important. It's not just important to us in this world, but it's important to us spiritually. It's important to God. The order is important. And the analogy is this: like if I had a glass jar, a big glass jug right here, and I wish I had one with me. I have one, but I don't have it here. But if I filled that up with little pebbles, little rocks, and let that represent all the stuff that we do each and every day, just the garbage, just whatever, the minutia, and it's not bad stuff, some of it may be, but the truth is that most of it's not bad stuff. It's just stuff. It's just things that we got to get done. And if we filled that, 3/4 of the way up, almost to the top with just stuff, I don't know about you. Like for me, it always feels like there's more stuff to do. Like there's not enough, it's amazing how different life seems to be now than it was 20 years ago. Now we have the convenience factor of phones and computers and stuff like that, but we don't have more time because of it. We have less.
It's added more stuff because now we have news and Facebook and instant messages and notifications. It's all part of the stuff. Yeah,
it's just stuff. Emails that about important work things that normally you wouldn't find out about until Monday, but now you're finding out about it at 9:00 on Friday night, and all the rest of your weekend is shot. It's that kind of thing, and it just sort of fills up, and our lives are full of this stuff, and it's not bad stuff, and it's not even. I'm not even going to say that it's stuff that God wants to take away from us. The problem is that for most of us, we're filling our lives with stuff. And then we have 5 or 6 of these big rocks, these cornerstones, these important things that we're trying to fit in on top of it. And it doesn't work. Like if you try to put that on top, you might get 1 or 2 of them in that jar, but eventually they're going to be spilling over the side. You're never going to fit them in. But if you take a jar of the same size and you put those 5 important stones in first, then you're able to pour all of the little ones, the little things in. And honestly, in the end, it fills up all the empty spaces. It goes to all the crevices that it can. And in the end, it won't even fill the whole thing up. You'll still have margin left. And it's because the order is important. And for most of us, stuff doesn't get left behind. The important things do. I mean, it's just the truth. It's just the things that are important to us are the first ones that get lost because our life is so full of stuff. Now, how many times have we not been the right husband or wife because stuff got in the way? How many times have we not been the best dad or mom because stuff got in the way? How many times have we not picked up our Bible or spent just 5 minutes praying because stuff got in the way? But if I ask every one of us, what are the most important things in our lives? We're going to list God, the Bible, reading, praying, our spouse, our kids. We're going to list these things as most important, but they're also the ones that get left behind because of stuff. And it's why, spiritually speaking, the Bible talks about how the order is so important. Here's what I told my church and what I'll tell you guys. 2020 sucked. Like, let's be really honest. Like, it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun for anybody. Unless you had a lot of stock in Zoom, like in January of 2020, it wasn't a fun year. Like, it wasn't good. But 2021, while new things are happening, it's not like 2021 came and it was like a magic potion and life is good. It sort of seems more of the same, But 2021 can be your best year. Like starting from right now forward, this could be the best year of your entire life if spiritually it's the best year of your entire life. Like, and the truth is that whenever we place God in the right order and we place our lives in the right order, it makes the rest better. The verse I use for this is from Psalms, and David was talking to God, and David understood something. He understood that the numbers are important, that our days are important. In Psalms 90:12, he says this. He says, "Teach us to number our days aright." Basically, God, help me put things in the right order, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Wisdom is so important to us, and we forget about it because we live in a world that says knowledge is more important. But there's a lot of people that know a lot that aren't very wise. I think we all know these people. Some of us are these people, but wisdom is different than knowledge. Wisdom is not book smarts. Wisdom is the ability to take the knowledge that you have and put it to work for you. Like wisdom is the ability to apply what you know. I would rather be somebody who knows less but can apply it than somebody who knows everything and has no idea how to apply it, because then it's just knowledge. It's pointless. Knowing how to do it doesn't help. It's applying it. And that's where wisdom comes in. And that's what I believe is what David is speaking to in this verse, and what God is trying to show us. What he's teaching me this year is that the order that I do things can either just be full of knowledge or it can be full of wisdom. And it can change, because in the end, what it means is that the order that you do things will determine your capacity in life. The order determines what you can do. You know, if you place the important things in first, all of a sudden your capacity fills. You know, and so often I think that people think that God is trying to remove all this stuff so that he can be alone. But God created us. Jesus ate, Jesus hung out with his friends. He went fishing. I mean, he was a fisherman, he did all these things. Those were important to him. And it wasn't that he's trying to take that stuff away from us. What he's trying to say is, like, you say I'm the most important thing, but your actions aren't saying that. And because of that, our capacity drops. And all of a sudden, we place unimportant things ahead of the important things. And the important things are the first things that get left out. Our kids, our relationship with God, our spouses, like they get left behind. And it's because the order that we live our lives, the order that we live our lives spiritually, the order that we live our lives in every aspect determines our capacity. Like an illustration for that is really simple. It doesn't just determine your capacity. It communicates something. The order that you do things is going to communicate priority. Like, and an easy way to put that is like a relationship. If you're placing minutia and just stuff ahead of your spouse, are you communicating to your spouse that they are a priority to you? Mm-hmm. And in the same way with our relationship with God, if we are placing stuff, like if the first thing you do when you get up in the morning is check your Facebook and email, what communication are you giving God in that moment? And not only that, the truth is that the order that we do things, it does more than just change our capacity. It does more than just communicate the priority. It really does impact the rest of our lives. A simple way to say that is, if you wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is look at Facebook, we know that Facebook is not full of positivity. I mean, there are people that are positive, but let's be really honest. Facebook is full of something else. It's not full of positivity. It's not full of, it's not life-giving. And so if you start your day with something that is robbing you of your life, robbing you of the good feelings of the love and the mercy and the grace that God gave you, what do you think the rest of your day is going to be like? And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having like a prayer time or reading your Bible at the end of the day. I do that plenty of times. But I make it a point to know that in the morning, one of the first things I do is spend 5 minutes, 2 minutes. God, thank you for today. I appreciate it. I love you so much. Open your Bible, read a verse. Because what it does is that communicates a lot of things. It changes my capacity. When I live a life like that, it changes my capacity, because all of a sudden my capacity to have grace and love and mercy for people that make life hard, it grows. Mm-hmm. I have the ability to show grace and love to people because the order determined my capacity for it. If the first thing I'm doing in the morning is filling up my tank with negativity or stupid memes that are about politics, what is my capacity going to be for that day? But if I'm filling my tank up with just a simple prayer, a Bible verse, whatever, even while you're taking a shower, throwing some worship music or something like that, just filling up my tank with something good, all of a sudden my capacity is changed for the day. If I start my day off like that, I'm also communicating to God that he's more important than Facebook. And I'm pretty sure that most of the people watching or listening to this are going to say that God is more important than Facebook. Even somebody who doesn't believe in God is going to say the idea of God is more important than Facebook. Like it just is. But are we communicating that? And really the last one there was that impacts the rest. And that not only does it change my capacity, but it's going to impact the rest of my day. If I've started off by my day by getting aggravated over something that happened in the news the night before, or seeing somebody rant and rave about something, or just inappropriate stuff or whatever, even just normal, just blah, just Facebook blah, and you scroll through and you're like, oh, there's nothing here. If that's what you started with, it impacts the rest of your day. But when you start from a place of, God, you're my priority, give me the capacity to love, the rest of your day, I dare you to try and be mean and hurtful to somebody, 5 minutes after you spent praying and reading your Bible. It's just hard to do. And I've got verses that back all these up, but the truth is that it just, beyond the verses, it just makes sense. We spend so much time worrying about stuff and ignoring the things that we say are most important. This is what Matthew says in Matthew chapter 6, verse 31 through 33. It says, so do not worry, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? For the pagans run after these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. So basically, the world is running after what I need, what I want. The world is running after stuff. And he says, but seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given you. See, God is not trying to take away all this stuff. He's trying to say that that he is more important than it. And that whenever we make him the cornerstone, we make him the first thing in our lives, we put him as the first rock in our jar, then all the other things get to add around that. And it changes all those other things. It displaces it. It changes the way everything responds and reacts around it. I hope I'm making sense there on what I think God is trying to get us to do, and why the order is so important in our lives.
Yeah, there's a guy named Buck Jacobs. He's the founder of all C12 nationwide, and so created multiple businesses that did really well. So on the business side of things, he's done it all, multi-million-dollar businesses, great family man, gives crazy amounts of money away. And a couple of years ago, he's speaking. And, C12, these are small business owners to even pretty big size businesses, 9-figure year type of businesses. And all these CEOs and executives are in there, and we're listening to him. And he gets up and he's about to share something that changed his life in every respect. And so, imagine everyone there with their pad of paper, and they're ready to write down, it's probably some cool tactic, right? Or something they did in business, or I hired this person. And guess what it was? He said the one thing that changed everything, it made everything else easier. My relationships, my business, even his income, everything got better when he started putting God first. He says, I want to give God 1 hour of my time, because I'm so guilty of this, and this is one of my big things I'm working on right now. Is I said, man, you're hitting home, because we all say that, man, God's so important, my wife's so important. And it was almost like, man, if I had time after doing everything else at 9:30, 10 when I'm going to bed, then maybe I'd pick up my Bible. And I wasn't doing it. I stopped doing it completely. And so I heard Buck say that right when I joined C12. And then I kept hearing from all these other guys who I look up to, both from what they're doing in business, but also from what they're doing in their communities and just good family people. And they were all doing that. They all woke up at whatever time it was, let's say it's 5:30, and they would give God at least 30 minutes. Some were giving a full hour of meditation, prayer, writing down notes, just gratitude notes, reading the Bible. So I finally said, I'm going to do it. And here's my tip for you, because the Bible can be pretty tough to just start digging into. And these 1 year Bibles, and they have different versions of them. Yeah. For you men out there, this could be done in, 10, 15 minutes. Because I know a lot of, at least guys I talk to, I just don't have time for that. I don't want to, 15 minutes a day, that's like max, and you're done. And in a year, you've read the entire Bible. And I did this before in my past, and looking back, that was some of the best time. And I've been doing this now for this entire year. Here we are in March, and I'm telling, something's changed. My wife can tell something's changed. I feel like I even have more energy. I'm actually getting more stuff done. And when it used to be a time where I'm just sitting there typing away and catching up on all my emails and, some of the social media stuff. And it is, man, it's counterintuitive to the human brain, but just giving up that hour to what you say is number one in your life, to what's the most important thing, it makes not to say life simple, but it makes everything else easier. And I feel like I have had more capacity, is the word you use. I feel like I've been able to take more things on. And normally it was the opposite, right? I felt like it was just a struggle to get through the day, even though I started my day at 5:30 in the morning, when most people are still sleeping. So it's crazy. That's all I can say is it works. It continues to work with tons of people who do it. The toughest part's just getting to the habit of it, right? That first month is the hardest, at least for me.
I completely agree. It's getting in the habit. It's learning how to use wisdom. There's a book in the Bible, it's Proverbs, and it was written by David's son, and Solomon, the most, the wisest person ever, at least what the Bible says. Doesn't say he's the smartest person, it says he's the wisest, meaning he knew how to apply his knowledge. And he wrote in Proverbs 17.
He had like a third grade education. Come on.
Yeah. He's smarter than a fifth grader. I don't know. But he says in chapter 17 of Proverbs, he says that an intelligent person aims at wise action, but a fool starts off in many directions. And I don't know about you, but how many days have you woken up feeling like your life is going in 18 different directions? Like you went everywhere. But an intelligent person aims at wise action, meaning a wise step, like an action. When you aim at something, you're not aiming at 23 different things. You're aiming at one thing. And instead of starting off in a million different directions, the best way to put it is that changing the order of things doesn't just change how you are with other people. and this is really important, that changing the order of things is going to change the pain that you have, because the distance between the truth that you know and the truth that you live is going to be equal to the pain that you experience. Meaning, like, I know the truth that God should be first in my life, but the life that I live is he's not first in my life. That means that I'm always trying to span this gap in my life. And it equals so much pain. Whereas if I just lived a life where God was first in my life, all of a sudden I'm not reaching out to get to the thing that I know is true, that I know is important. Instead, I'm living in it. And not only that am I living in it, but I'm living in it with the God who is the comforter, the provider, the healer, the lover of my soul. Like I'm living it with the big dog at my back. All of a sudden, that pain that I was experiencing because I'm always trying to reach for something that I know is true, but I'm not living. And it's not malicious. I don't think most people that say God is first in their life but don't live that way are doing it maliciously. It's the culture that we live in. The world we live in has made saying God is number one and important, but not living it the norm. I mean, we can look at, that's the world we live in worldwide. It's not just America. I mean, it's just the idea of, you look at the attendance of church has dropped drastically. It's dropped because of COVID, but not really. COVID just sort of sprungboard us into a place where we were headed anyways. If you look at the numbers over the last 20, 30 years, they've been declining drastically. People attending and being a part of church. And the Bible says that we're not supposed to forsake the group of believers, to spend time with other churches, church members, because they all of a sudden there are people there that lift you up and got your back. I mean, in the same way that Salt Strong is to a fishing community, the church is to your spiritual community, and it lifts you up. I've made so many great friends through Salt Strong, guys that I talk to and I fish with, and I get to talk with about stuff even other than fishing. And it's because I've maintained that community, but we feel like all of a sudden we can not maintain that community when it comes to God, and it becomes the detriment of us. It hurts us because we say God's most important, and well, God says that we are supposed to be in community with each other and to spend time with each other. So we're living over here, and there's this gap here. I can't tell how many people that I talk with that love God, and they say he's the most important thing, that he's one of the big rocks in their lives, but they're struggling and they're hurting and they feel all alone. It's because they say that, but they're not living what God has called them to live, and it's amazing how placing him first in the order of your life is so important, and it changes everything else.
So tell me what that means to you. Because if I'm a listener, I'm like, all right, cool. What does that mean? Does that mean I just need to start my day off with God, talking to God, praying? What have you found to work best in your life and some people that you've?
I would say here's 3 steps that'll help you figure it out. A
3-step program. I love it.
3-step program. I'm Tony Robbins here. I think first you have to discover what your values are. You have to discover what your values are. We all would say have value, and that we hold value dear, and character and those kind of things. But we have to really discover what our value is, and what does that mean? Like, what do you love really deeply? Like, what do you love deeply? And the other side,
can it be a boat or anything like that?
It can be a boat, sure. Okay. For sure. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Once again, God's not trying to take away your boat. He's not trying to take away your fishing. He wants you in fishing and boats. They aren't little rocks. They're like medium rocks.
Okay.
Okay.
Those are thank you for saying that. Okay.
They're medium rocks. Because here's the deal. For a lot of us, it is important. And I'm not even making a joke there. Like, for me, being able to, like, when I get to fish, it centers me, it calms me, it gives me a place to just sort of be alone Even if I'm in a boat with other guys, I can just seriously, I can go on a party boat with Hubbard and I'm calmer when I get back because I've just spent time in nature. I spent time with what God created for us and got to do something that I enjoy. And God doesn't want to take away your joy. He's the giver of joy. And so what we need to do is discover where our values are. So what do you love deeply? And then really the other side of that would be what makes you righteously angry? When you look at what do you love deeply and what makes you righteously angry, and I'm not talking about like bad drivers. I'm talking about like righteously angry, like spiritually angry, and for whatever that is, what makes you like righteously angry and what do you love deeply? When you know those two things, you're going to understand and you're going to know what your values are. And that can help guide you into placing what is most important in your life first. Is the first thing that you are doing, is the things that you are doing most, do they reflect what you love deeply or what makes you righteously angry, or do they just reflect stuff? The second thing is that we need to determine which of those things is most important. Like I said, like the verse, place our numbers are right, place things in the right order to understand like what is your life's mission? Like not just what do I love the most? What makes me angry, spiritually speaking? But what's your mission? What's your goal? And when you discover what's most important to you, like you have your values, you understand what your values are, and all of a sudden you go, okay, well, I've got like 20 different things that these big rocks that align with my values. Okay, well, what's your mission? All of a sudden you're whittling it down and figuring out what is most important. Is your mission to change your family tree, spiritually speaking, financially speaking? Is your mission or is your mission to have more thumbs ups and likes on Facebook? Like, what's your mission? And for some people, it may be the latter. I mean, for real, and I can disagree with that. But if that's what you want to make your mission, well, then it's going to determine the order that you place your life in. God gave us all sort of a path to do and things that he wants us to do. In Acts chapter 20, verse 24, it says, however, I consider my life worth nothing to me if only I may finish the race and complete the task the Lord Jesus has given me. If I don't do my best to fulfill the mission of my life, then my life is worth nothing to me. And what's the mission? Well, I mean, let's put it really simply, love God and love other people. To spread the wealth of God, that is the most biblical mission. I mean, what Jesus said, go into all the world, preach the gospel, tell people about me. Doesn't mean slam them over the head. It doesn't mean scream and shout at them till they change their minds. It means tell them about his love. None of us fell in love with the idea of God or Jesus because somebody screamed at us. We understood that he loved us first, and so we decided to love him. And so our mission in a very basic state should be that. But to even expand upon that and figure out like what area of your life that is. For you, it's been using Salt Strong to change families' lives. And in doing so, you start doing Unchurched, and all of a sudden you're helping change spiritual lives in the same time. And it's become a part of your mission in your life. For me, it's been being a shepherd and helping people sort of discover the nuances of what the Bible teaches us and how we can live better for him. As a pastor, that's become my mission, spiritually speaking. And so discover your values, determine what's most important. And then finally, I think that we have to decide who is most important. And most of us, whenever I ask if like who is most important, you can give me a list. Hopefully God's on that list. Hopefully he's at the top of it. But, most of us, we're going to list a spouse, we're going to list our kids or a friend or a parent or a sibling. We're going to list who is most important. But that's the truth we know. But the truth that most of us live is that I'm most important. Mm-hmm. And it's just the truth that we live. Let's be really honest.
The me society.
It's what we do. And so I believe that if we want to live a life where we put the order in the right order, then we need to put God first, and we have to make relationships a priority. I think those two things in the simplest form will change your life forever. I think if you make God first this year and you make relationships a priority, like spiritual relationships, people that can pour into your life and bring life to you. If you do those two things, I promise you'll have the best year of your life. Because when you put God first, that means you're spending time reading the Bible. It means you're spending time praying. It means you're spending time getting to know him because you put him first. And whenever you put him first, all of a sudden, it changes your capacity. And all of a sudden, you're full of grace and love and mercy for other people. And all of a sudden, relationships become easy because you're operating out of, a deep stack, a well of love, God's well of love instead of your own. Instead of it being painful to work through relationships, it's easy. It's not just easy. It's life-giving to you. It changes everything when you change the order.
I love it. And I'm trying to always put myself in someone else's shoes. And I know when I first started doing this, giving up this first hour, we'll just call it 30 minutes because it rarely is an hour, just being honest. And I had trouble praying. Like I had trouble, especially when I wanted a journal. That was something that a lot of these people said, hey, just the fact of writing, it makes you slow down, because we could say 100 words a minute. And the fact of just writing, it makes you slow down and actually think about what you're going to say or write. And I had a lot of trouble. Like, what do I tell God? And it was awkward at first.
Yeah.
And I finally just said, you know what? Like, he's my father. He's not going to judge me. I'm just going to talk to him and tell him what I'm thankful for, tell him what I need help with things like I pray for wisdom all the time. I pray for just things that I need him to work on in my life, and even big asks. Like really big, like this theme park, it comes up quite often. Like, God, just show me the vision I'm struggling with right now. Some days it seems clear, and some days like, I have no idea. I wrote it down. It's part of our mission and our vision. And it's become easier and easier just talking to him like he's a friend or your real biological father. And I don't know, it's something magical that happens. You're right. It increases your capacity. It slows you down a little bit. It certainly makes you more loving and full of grace. And I know I guarantee my kids will tell you, because I've skipped it. There's times when just whatever happens, and they can probably tell you, they don't know, but they could probably tell you, Dad just wasn't himself. And every morning I do it, I feel like I'm a different person. And I feel like it doesn't mean that I don't have a lot of crazy stuff happen running a business and family of 5. But it just feels like things are easier, like things bounce off me. And it's just like, I'm not going to worry about it. It's nothing in the world. Versus the days I skip it, I feel like it's just chaos. And that was, I guarantee a lot of people listening, that feels like a normal day-to-day life. Like, man, it's just chaos. And I feel like I'm putting out fires left and right. I don't know. There's something about starting that day off, just praying and writing some prayers down. Everything else is easier.
And you just figure out what aspect of that works for you. I mean, like for some people, writing, like I've journaled in the past. I don't always do it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But I'll spend time talking with him. Here, the best illustration I can give is this: is that I don't know if you on like, and I keep talking about Facebook because why not? Everybody understands what I'm talking about. Facebook will bring your memories up. Like, oh, you have some memories from today, and you can look back through them. And I can look back, and if I look back to the first few weeks or months that I used Facebook, and I look at my posts and how awkward they are and how weird they are, like I didn't understand. Like I would write it like a response, like, because it has my name, Johnny Kelly, and so my post would be like, is eating food. That would be the whole post, because like Johnny Kelly is eating food. Like it was so awkward, and it was because I didn't understand it. Like, do you know? But think about like back when you first started using something. Think back to the first time you used an iPhone. Think back to the first time you used a certain program. The first time that you used something for the first time, and it was awkward and weird, and you were trying to figure it out, and you're trying to learn it. Now think about how easy it is to waste 3 hours on Facebook now. At first it was awkward and you didn't know what to do with it or how to utilize it. And all of a sudden now it's something that's just sort of like second nature. It's easy. The same thing happens when we spend time with God. Like the more time you put into it, the easier it becomes. I love watching Luke cast. I love it. It's
so
like
smooth.
This thing of beauty. It really is.
He's
and
so
I'm
smooth.
not trying to like make him like get a big head or anything, but
I feel like I'm smooth. Like, and then I watched the video. I was like, how is he doing that?
How does he do that? I don't understand. How does he do that? That's the old 10,000 hour theory or whatever. He has done it so much, and it's not even like a thought process to him anymore. He just flips that thing. He can skip it under the docks and he can do all this. Why? Because he's done it. He spent time doing it, and all of a sudden it becomes just a part of who he is. In the same way is sort of going, I'm going to make God a priority, which means I'm going to get up every morning and it becomes easy. And I'm not saying that to take it lightly. I'm not saying it becomes easier. It will become easy. I mean, that doesn't mean there won't be days when you're like, I really don't want to do this right now. I'm tired. I was up late. That happens. But it's not a hard thing for you to do when it's become a part of who you are, and it's become it's become the first rock that you place in your life every day. All of a sudden it becomes an easy thing to do because it's what you do. It's just what you do. It becomes easy. Think about the things that you do each and every day. The things that you do, like brushing your teeth, taking a shower. Like, are those hard things for you? Like, do you ever sit there going, I really don't want to brush my teeth today. Like, I really don't know. Like, you never say that. Why? Because it's just something that you do. It's become so ingrained. I look at my littlest one, my 2-year-old, and he's like learning how to brush his teeth right now. And it's so awkward and funny. It looks like a Great Dane puppy trying to get excited over something. Like he's like he's just going everywhere, and there's toothpaste on the wall, and it's on his eyeballs, and it's everywhere. Like he just like it, but I can watch me brush my teeth, and it's just an easy thing to do. I've done it. It became just a part of what I do. And in the same way, we get to do that, and it's an important thing. It changes the rest of your life. The things that we do each and every day are the things that we equate to as important. When we say God is important, so each and every day, are we spending time with him? Are we placing him first? Reading, like I love the 1-year Bible. Another thing you can do is look at the different versions of the Bible. There are versions that are easier than others. There's one that's called the Message version. They call it a paraphrase version of the Bible. It has every verse in it, but basically they went through and they rewrote it in a way that makes it easy to read. And it's a really cool version. And here's the cool thing is if you download the app, the Bible app on your phone, and when you look up Bible on your app store, it's the top one. That it was created by Life Church in Oklahoma. They created that, and it has hundreds of versions of the Bible in dozens of languages, and you can read through and start going, oh wait, I like this. Like I use the English Standard Version a lot when I'm preaching, and when I'm studying, I use that version. Sometimes I'll read the Message version because I want to read it like it's a story, and you find those things within the Bible app as well. It has the 1-year reading plan. So if you don't have the money or the ability to buy that book right now, it has it right there. It'll even send you a reminder on your phone at, whatever time you want it to. Like, hey, every morning at 7 a.m., I want it to send me a reminder to read my verses for today. And all of a sudden you get in that habit. What does it say? It's like 21 days to start a habit. Yep. You do that for 3 weeks, and all of a sudden it becomes just what you do. it changes your life in a massive way.
I love it. Well, that's the challenge, guys. We made it this far. That's the challenge. It's not easy. I know from someone who's going through it now and just trying to build that habit in every day. And I've been super consistent this year in 2021. And I can tell a difference. Like I said, my wife can tell a difference. I'm pretty sure our employees can tell a difference. And I feel like I got momentum in my life in like all aspects. And that's a good feeling. I mean, that's what we should all strive for. I mean, it just feels good. It gives you more energy. It gives you more fulfillment. So that's the challenge. And we'd love to hear from you. I'm Joe. I always leave my email now at the end. I love getting emails from you guys. Joe@saltstrong.com. Johnny, what's yours?
Johnny@discoverfamilychurch.com. Yep.
Hit us up. We'd love to hear from you.
I absolutely love it whenever I get emails and from you guys, and it's been great to be able to pray with some of you guys and talk with you as you walk through life and have questions or struggles. I'm here anytime.
Yep. And church, what you guys are at 4 now?
Yeah, we're meeting. We through COVID, we ended up we lost our building, and so as a church, we lost our building that we had. It was in a medical building, and there's just a bunch of stuff that happened that led to us having to leave the building. And so we are now meeting at the Salvation Army has a worship center here in Lakeland. And so we are meeting there at 4:00 on Sunday afternoon. So if you want to be a part of church, but you don't like getting up in the morning, we're perfect, And so 4:00 in the afternoon at 2620 Kathleen Road in Lakeland. It's literally right off the end of Mall Hill Road, right near the mall, right like a block off of I-4, super easy to get to. 4:00 on Sunday afternoons, and discoverfamilychurch.com will have the information for it though.
Yep. You guys are still streaming on the FB and all that.
We still stream. We stream at Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. on our Facebook page and on our YouTube page. And so we stream on Sunday mornings, and then at 4:00 in the afternoon, we have our live service in person with full band and worship and all that. And we have kids services going now. So kids get to go back and have their messages too. And so, yeah, we love it.
Cool, dude. Well, it's good. It's good to see you back. Good to hear you back. This was a great one. It's such a good reminder. And I mean, it was just so ironic because this is also something, this book Traction, that we're implementing in our business right now. And it just flat out works. And it's literally based on the same principles. I mean, they actually call them rocks. And it says, do the opposite of what you've been doing, which is put all the little pebbles in first, put the big rocks in first. The pebbles will fill up all the gaps, and it makes everything else easier. It gives you so much more capacity. And, business is one thing, but you nailed it. I mean, the second you can start putting God first and working on those relationships, oh my gosh, like that's the ultimate fulfillment. I mean, that's when everything else become, they talk about everything else just becomes either easy or irrelevant, right? If you have those two things first. So this is a good one, man. Much needed.
I'm glad to do it, man. I love you, and I love Salt Strong and being able to sort of just hopefully let somebody look at life a little bit differently and try to become more the person that they want to be, not the person that I want them to be, but I want you to become the person that you want to be.
Yeah.
That God wants you to be.
Cool. That's it, guys. Appreciate it. Another Salt Strong Unchurched with Pastor John Kelly.
Love you
we
guys.
Out. Peace.
Bye.
'Cause fishing, it's in my soul, it was pain.